feeling the progress in anything you truly care about is hard, especially when you're looking at your work every single day. When you measure yourself constantly, it can feel like you are standing still, like you are not moving at all. Over time, that feeling turns into doubt that maybe you are stuck, that you lack the talent, the eye, the instinct. But I've learned that this way of thinking is often an illusion. For a long time, I believed progress meant doing more, shooting more, learning more, refining more. But looking back at this year, I realized something quieter. Growth didn't come from adding anything. It came from presence, not physical presence, but that of the mind, from thinking deeper and understanding not just photography, but myself, why I was pressing the shutter and what I was expecting from the light I chose to let in. Recently, I had a conversation with someone on social media that really stayed with me. He said something along the lines of, I walk the same streets with you in London, I see the same scenes, and yet I can't take the same photos. He continued saying, I don't feel I have the talent, I don't feel I have the eye. He then complimented my photography, which was very kind, but the most important is that right at the end of the year, these words sparked something in me. They made me pause and really think, do I have the talent? Do I have the eye? Because the truth is, years ago when I first started shooting, I had the very same thoughts. I remember looking at other people's photos on social media and asking myself, how did they do that? I remember thinking, I will never be able to take photos like that. I don't have that kind of talent. So reading those lines brought everything full circle and it made me question something fundamental. Is it really talent that makes a good photograph? Is there such a thing as the eye? What does progress in photography actually look like, and how do you even know when you've made it? Incremental growth is hard to notice. You can't look back a day or a week and suddenly see your photography transform. Change hides in repetition, in effort, in showing up. And I think that's what discourages so many people at the beginning of their journey. When I first started shooting, almost every photo felt bad. And honestly, it probably was. My photos stayed bad for months, maybe even years, but I kept shooting. And I think that's the most important part early on. You don't shoot to be good. You shoot because you are curious, because you enjoy it, because something about it pulls you in. You experiment, you try everything, you make mistakes, you fail, and without noticing, you learn. Henri Cartier-Bresson famously said that your first 10,000 photos are your worst. And honestly, I think the 10,000 after that might be the same. And so will the 10,000 after that. And that's okay, because photography isn't about reaching a point where you stop failing. It's about becoming comfortable with failure. If I learned one thing this past year is that I will always take bad photos. And I learned to celebrate that. First, because it means that I went out and shot despite being busy, despite being tired. And second, because every failure carries a lesson that will eventually lead to that one photograph that will make all the others worth it. And the way I define a good photograph has nothing to do with likes or attention on social media. My favorite photos are my favorite photos, and that's enough. Appreciation online can be encouraging, and when it comes, it feels good. But it fades quickly. Motivation shouldn't be a falling star. It should be a sun, something steady, something internal, something that keeps you going even when no one is watching. And now comes the tricky part, the one I didn't want to admit to myself for years. At some point in every photographer's journey, I think simply shooting more isn't the solution. Shooting more on its own will not improve your photography. That felt uncomfortable to realize, because for years I believed and even said out loud that improvement only comes from shooting constantly, from always having the camera with you. And while that is true at the beginning, it eventually stops being enough. I realized that I was shooting a lot and yet I still felt stuck. Not because I wasn't putting in the effort, but because I was repeating myself. I realized I was just hunting for high contrast shadows because they looked good instead of looking for a story. I was shooting the same patterns, the same ideas, the same photographs, and celebrated past successes instead of questioning where I wanted to go next. That realization was disheartening. But no, that's not the reason to give up, not at all. I think the only way forward is through. But the way through isn't more shooting, at least not for me. It's reflection. It's sitting with my photos longer, looking at them without rushing, and asking harder questions. What do I care about? What do I want my photos to say? And what does a good photograph actually mean to me? Those can be uncomfortable questions, but they are necessary ones. Because once you start answering them, you can go back out with intention, with direction, with something strong enough to break old patterns and allow for new ones to emerge, even if that means changing completely how you shoot. Pivoting takes energy and it's never easy. What's easy is staying where you are, repeating the same things, following the same patterns. But pivoting is more alive. And in a world built on distraction, on 3-second attention spans, we've forgotten the kind of beauty that emerges from deep concentration. I know I have. So if you ask me what my first step into a new photographic mindset is, moving into the next year, it's this: disconnect, concentrate, and reflect. To think longer, to go deeper, to imagine more. To reconnect with myself and let my photography to grow from that place instead from noise. And letting those ideas guide me before I even pick up the camera. And then when I go out to shoot, I won't shoot all the time, but I will shoot enough. Enough to explore, enough to express myself, enough to say something that feels true to me. What I will increase though is the time I spend with my photos, sitting with them, understanding them, because that more than anything feels essential to where I am right now. So going into the next year, I'm not trying to make more visually impressive photos. I want to photograph with more presence, to return to the same places or visit new ones with a more mature mindset, with more intention and less urgency, less pressure to come back with something and more patience to let something reveal itself. I want to give moments the time they deserve and allow my photos to grow slowly without forcing meaning onto them. Not chasing attention, not chasing trends, just paying more attention to what resonates with me and trusting that this is enough. After everything I learned this past year, the doubts, the small breakthroughs, the moments of clarity, this is how I approach my photography now. And if I go back to the beginning and ask myself that question again, do I have the talent? Do I have the eye? My answer is this: it doesn't matter. Because photography is a language. Beautiful words do matter. But what matters the most is the meaning of the sentence. That was all for today and for the year, guys. I hope you had a great 2025 and I wish you an even better 2026. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I will see you on the streets. Bye bye.